welcome back to another video on the football zone and to a weekend previewing a big weekend of Premier League Championship action. So let's get straight into it. West Ham versus Newcastle, and this is an interesting game. West Ham have been a bit inconsistent recently, and you do feel that is kind of costing them in the race for the top four against the Newcastle side that have picked up recently and have got several wins on the trot now. So they'll be coming into this one full of confidence. So yeah, you'd say there is potential for an upset here, but I just still think West Ham need that victory more kind of now, and I think they will get that. I'll say 2-0. Moving on then, Arsenal take on Brentford at the Emirates, and yeah, for me, Arsenal are definitely favourites here. Obviously have had a bit of a dodgy run recently, but you know, definitely getting back to their best now, and still in a really good position for the top four race, so I'll be pleased with that. Against the Brentford side that are struggling, yes, they got a draw last time out against Palace, but still, I mean, like, I have my doubts over them at the moment, so I'm definitely expecting an Arsenal win here, and I'm going to say the scoreline will be 2-0. Moving on then to the Amex, where Brighton take on Burnley, and yeah, this is an interesting game for me. Brighton, obviously, coming into this one, relatively happy with their league position and Knights. Obviously did lose last time out, but you know, there were still positives to take from that defeat at Old Trafford. Burnley in 20th. Yeah, they do need to start picking up points now. I'd say it's probably already too late, but yeah, they have to start picking up points. But I just can't see it here. I think Brighton will get the win easily. I'm going to say 1-0. I'll say an easy 1-0. Moving on then, Liverpool take on Norwich at Anfield, and yeah, for me, this should be a comfortable game for Liverpool, and I think most Liverpool fans will expect the same. Norwich, yeah, they haven't been too bad recently, but still, yeah, you'd have to say that Liverpool should have far too much quality here. I mean, especially with the front line firing again now. And I'm expecting it to be a fairly comfortable afternoon. I'll say 3-0. Moving on then, Southampton take on Everton at St Mary's, and this is a game I'm really looking forward to. Southampton obviously on a really solid run at the moment, consolidating their place in the top half of the table, which would be a great season for them. Against an Everton side, yeah, they showed signs of life in their last game under Frank Lampard, maybe just starting to click under him. That would be great to see, and could lead to a really entertaining game here at St Mary's, so it'll be interesting to see which way this one goes. I think it will pan out to be a draw, but we'll see. I'm going to say 1-1. Moving on then, Aston Villa take on Watford at Villa Park, and yeah, for me this should be a home win. Watford, they seem to already be having a bit of doubt under Roy Hodgson, so yeah, it's kind of just typical Watford things, isn't it? And Villa, yeah, they're not 100% clicking under Steven Gerrard, but you know, they're still looking good. Coutinho in is firing and all of that, so yeah, I think Villa will definitely be favourites here and should pick up the win. I'll say 2-0. Moving on then, Palace take on Chelsea at Selhurst Park, and of course Chelsea's first game since becoming Club World Champions, so well done to them, even though they're third in the Premier League, best team in the world, but whatever. Palace, yeah, they're coming to this one on not really the greatest run of form in 13th. Yeah, I think Chelsea will definitely be fancying their chances here, and yeah, for Chelsea you could really say that they're lucky to be going into this one with top teams below them doing so badly, not to put too much pressure on it, so yeah, I'll say 2-0 to Chelsea. Moving on then to Manchester City, who host Tottenham at the Etihad, and yeah, City really doing well at the moment, aren't they? Comfortably ahead of everyone else, just cruising, but Liverpool behind, still keeping the pressure on. But yeah, Tottenham, their top four charges kind of fallen apart recently, and yeah, I kind of can't see them getting in it this year. It'll take a big effort, but I just can't see it, and I think City will heap more misery on them here. I'm going to say 2-0. Moving on then, Leeds take on Manchester United at Ellen Road, and yeah, Leeds, they're just inconsistent, aren't they, really? Yeah, they still got 6 points over relegation, and I think they'll be fine, but yeah, they just are inconsistent against the Manchester United side, who you could accuse of being similar, but hopefully that result against Brighton in the week will kind of turn their fortunes around. They can be a bit more consistent. I think it'll be close, this one, but I can see United picking up the win. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on then, Wolves take on Leicester at Molyneux. And Wolves, yeah, obviously on a really solid run. Great win over Tottenham last time out against the Leicester side, who, let's face it, they are struggling at the moment. Into the bottom half now, and yeah, the pressure really does seem to be growing on Brendan Rodgers. Hopefully he can turn it around. But yeah, this is a big game for him. You kind of do feel he needs to pick something out of this. And I just think Leicester, looking at the quality, when they really have to, they will pull a result out of the bag. I don't think they'll win, but I can see them picking up the point. I'm going to say 1-1. Moving on then to the Championship, and Bournemouth take on Nottingham Forest on Friday night. And yeah, Bournemouth, mainly really down to Blackburn and QPR slipping up quite a lot. They've now got a comfortable margin in the automatic promotion places, so they'll be coming into this one very comfortable. And yeah, Forest just on the edges of the playoffs at the moment. I think they'll be looking to push in, but yeah, I just fancy Bournemouth just to nick it here. But this should be a really close and entertaining game, this one for me. Moving on then, Fulham take on Huddersfield at Craven Cottage. And yeah, Fulham, what can you say about them? Just so good at the moment, aren't they? Just destroying teams apart left, right and centre. But you know, I hope they don't underestimate Huddersfield, because Huddersfield are on a really good run themselves this year, in and around the playoff positions. So yeah, in 5th place at the moment, obviously games in hand kind of does skew it, etc, etc. But yeah, I still think Fulham will win, but Huddersfield definitely can't be underestimated. I'm going to say 3-0. Mitrovic will be on fire. Otherwise, moving on then, QPR take on Hull at Loftus Road. And yeah, for QPR, after 2 really, really bad losses, lots of pressure on this game. Also, I don't really think they'll get into the automatic promotions now. It's probably gone now, but you never know in the Championship. But yeah, more just to consolidate their place in the playoffs against a Hull side who picks up a really good point in the week, so they'll be coming back into form. But yeah, I think QPR will have just about enough. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on then to the Wycombe Arena, where Coventry take on Barnsley. And yeah, this is a big game for Barnsley, because obviously they picked up that surprise win against QPR last time out, and they really have to build on it if they want any chance of staying up. And Coventry, yeah, they had a disappointing result at the weekend to Cardiff, so yeah, Barnsley really have to give this a go, but I just fancy Coventry. I mean, like Barnsley, there's just no consistency in the side at all, is there? Well, they are consistent most of the time at losing, but in terms of getting positive results, so yeah, I just fancy Cov will put an end to Barnsley's brief hopes of survival. Moving on then, Sheffield United take on Swansea at Bramall Lane. And yeah, this is a game which I'm really interested in. Swansea picking up a decent win over Bristol City last time out. And Sheffield United dropping points to Hull in a game which really they shouldn't have dropped points in. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Sheffield United can just put that behind them quickly. But Swansea will come into this one with a bit of more confidence. I still think Blade's a favourite, but you never know, it does create an interesting variable going into the match. Moving on then, Bristol City take on Middlesbrough at Ashton Gate. And yeah, Bristol City, they come into this one not in the greatest run of form, I think it's fair to say. Still languishing lower mid-table, where they kind of been for most of the season, against the Middlesbrough side, who, yeah, flying high under Chris Wilder in the playoffs. I think they're looking good at the moment, aren't they? So yeah, well, I think they're favourites here, but you know, don't underestimate Bristol City, but I do fancy Middlesbrough to get the 1-0 win, I'll say. Moving on then, Blackburn take on Millwall at Ewood Park. And Blackburn, yeah, their season kind of tailed off a bit recently. Hopefully it's just a blip more so than anything, but I guess we'll kind of see over the next few weeks really. And Millwall obviously got a solid result last time out against QPR, one of the teams that Blackpool fighting them. But Blackburn, yeah, just a home game where they really do need to get back to winning ways against an inconsistent Millwall side, and I think they will. I'll say 2-0. Moving on then to Kenilworth Road, where Luton take on West Brom. And yeah, this is an interesting game because Luton, obviously, they did suffer a disappointing result last time out after going on a decent run of form against the West Brom side, who really are kind of struggling at the moment. Slow start to life under Steve Bruce. And yeah, Luton isn't the place where you want to go, because except for that loss, they've been on a really, really good run of form, so they won't want to let that go. So I can see it being another draw here. I'll say a score draw this time, though. I'll say it will be Luton 1, West Brom 1. Moving on then, Preston take on Reading at Deepdale in a big game for Reading. Not so much for Preston really. They're mid-table. I can't really see them pushing for the playoffs, but Reading, 0-0 draws Peterborough last time out weren't great, if we're being honest. And with Derby getting at the rate they are, they're in deep trouble, really. Reading, they do need to start getting results out somewhere because their form is just absolutely hideous. But Preston, who are still going really well under Ryan Lowe, I just can't see this being the game for Reading, really. I think Preston will pick up another big victory. I'm going to say 2-0. Moving on then, Stoke take on Birmingham at the Bet365 Stadium, and Stoke, they're in 13th. They're going okay at the moment, against the Birmingham side in 18th, still kind of struggling, trudging along really, aren't they? Seems to be protests every week. They're not happy place, Birmingham. So it's a home game which you really expect Stoke to probably pick up the victory, and I think they probably will. I'm going to say 1-0 to Stoke. Moving on then to a huge relegation 6-pointer at Pride Park, Derby versus Peterborough, and Derby, they'll come into this one, and hopefully their admin stuff's getting all sorted now. Still coming to this one full of confidence. They know they're a much better side than Peterborough. We've seen it all season. Them and Reading, really are poor compared to Derby. And Derby, this is a must-win game to go within a few points of Reading, hopefully, for their sake. And I think they will pick up the win. I'll say 1-0, but what a massive game this is. Moving on then, Cardiff take on Blackpool at Cardiff City Stadium, and a few weeks ago it looked like Cardiff might be involved in this whole relegation battle, but that's turned out not to be the case. Great turnaround for Steve Morrison's men recently, and they can now start to really build for next season now, and still got quite a lot of this season to go though, and I fancy Steve Morrison's men to continue their good run of form against the Blackpool side. I'm kind of doing mid at the moment. I'll say 2-0 to Cardiff. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, remember your thoughts, comments, down below. Follow on Twitter, thanks for watching for daily football news, and subscribe to the channel on the screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.